It's a hidden health hazard in your gut, and it may be the secret reason why you're exhausted. Find out what it is and whether you're at risk. Stay with us.
Up next, the hidden health hazard in your gut.
This patient had no idea that she was infected with thousands of these little worms.
Could a parasite be living off of you?
Now that you're all paying attention, here are the warning signs you might want to look for.
It may be the reason you're fatigued. Find out coming up.
We've explored on this show many reasons why you're exhausted, but there's one cause that's new even to me. Could a parasite be living in you, living off you, attacking you from the inside? Could this be the reason that you're fatigued? Now, it may sound exotic, something that only happens to people who travel overseas. But I was shocked to see this hidden health hazard in your gut is a growing problem in this country. Parasites. Microscopic creatures that can invade your body, living off it, stealing your nutrients, releasing toxins, causing debilitating diarrhea, weight loss, even death. These nasty bugs are not just a problem overseas. They're on the rise right here in America. More than 40 million people have already been infected with a parasite. These insidious intruders can attach to your gut and linger for years. Could this be the source of your internal inflammation, upset stomach and bowels, and incredible fatigue? Could parasites be the secret reason you're exhausted? Dr. Robin Chutkin is a gastroenterologist at Georgetown Hospital. There are millions of women watching right now who feel exhausted. Let's just cut to the chase. Is it really all that possible that parasites could be to blame?
It is a distinct possibility. As you said, there are millions of people in the U.S. who suffer from parasites. These are actually very common, not just overseas, but right here in the U.S. The problem is that these parasites can linger undetected in the intestinal tract for years. In fact, one study found that 46% of people diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome actually had parasites responsible for the symptoms. So this is a very real problem.
Almost half the people with chronic fatigue.
Almost half.
So, I mean, how do parasites get to us? I always thought these were things that primarily existed in other countries.
Well, the main reason here in the U.S. is contaminated drinking water. The other problem is people not washing their hands carefully enough. The other thing that we're seeing is that we're receiving lots of our fruits and vegetables from overseas, as well as people migrating here, traveling, and the regulations for food in particular are not that stringent. There was an episode in the Atlanta farmers market several years ago where a snake arrived wrapped around a large bunch of bananas. So if they can miss a 10-foot-long snake, I think it's safe to say they can miss a tiny, almost microscopic worm that might be living in the digestive tract.
Well, you mentioned size. There are two kinds of parasites that can make you sick and tired. The first of these are visible parasites. They look like worms. Right? And the roundworms, for example, they're found in animal feces. Tapeworms that are found in pork and beef. Let me show you what these look like first, then we'll get to the microscopic ones. So here's how these get into your body and infect your body. You're sitting at someplace eating. You could be in this country. And inside the meat or the fish that may have come from another country, you have larvae. And those larvae are digested, and they set up shop right there. See right there? In your gut, as you're digesting, those larvae will hatch. The worm comes out, the jaws hook into your guts like that. They attach to the intestine, and they begin to prosper and grow on you. It robs you of nutrients, causes bleeding. They can grow 50 feet in length. These things will live for 25 years in our guts. And many times you won't know that you got the problem and pass those eggs on to contaminate the rest of us until you've already passed those eggs along, because you won't have any symptoms from it. So Dr. Chutkin brought me some absolutely fascinating images from the inside of someone who lives in this country, right? See inside, this is what whipworms look like. Again, an endoscopic image. See the little worms here, the little circular things? And they're sort of biting into the gut, and they're eating away at the inside. Can you all see this? Yes, I thought you might notice this. So, Dr. Chutkin, how do these parasites cause anemia?
So what you're showing here is whipworm, otherwise known as trichurias. And this patient had no idea that she was infected with thousands of these little worms. They burrow into the wall of the intestines, and they literally suck your blood. So they absorb blood, they eat it up, and you become anemic, and that leads to fatigue.
So those are the worms you can see. But there's a whole set of other parasites that can be making you exhausted that are microscopic parasites. And we're seeing more and more of these in the U.S. If you can walk us through what these microscopic parasites are.
So the two microscopic ones that are a big problem in the U.S. are Cryptosporidium and Giardia. And crypto was a parasite that was responsible for the outbreak in Milwaukee several years ago.
Yes.
400,000 people were affected, and over 100 people died. And this was from contaminated city water. So chlorine in water does not kill crypto. The other parasite that we see is Giardia. Now, we think of Giardia as something that campers and backpackers get, but Giardia is incredibly common in daycare centers. Nursing homes also, so anybody who's handling stool on a regular basis. In fact, we found that 20 to 30% of daycare center workers might be infected with Giardia, and many of them are asymptomatic. They have no symptoms, but they're infectious. They can pass the Giardia on to children. The children then take it home. And so what we're finding is that people who have chronic conditions, irritable bowel syndrome, for example, something I see in my office every day, is that a large percentage of those patients are actually infected with parasites that are responsible for the symptoms.
So now that you're all paying attention, okay, here are the warning signs you might want to look for, besides feeling exhausted. Yellow stool, you get bloating, you get cramps, you get fatigue. You know, all those things can occur, especially acutely in the first 2 weeks after you've been exposed to an infection, but you can get a lingering fatigue that can be misdiagnosed as the irritable bowel that Dr. Chuck had mentioned earlier. So, now that you're all interested in parasites, when we come back, I've got 4 easy ways to prevent a parasite from living inside of you. Now that you know it can be hazardous, you cannot afford to miss this.
Coming up, 4 ways to prevent a parasite from living inside of you.
Easy to do, guys.
How you might be increasing your risk. Plus,
This could kill things.
proven to work.
And it's all natural.
Next.
If you feel exhausted all the time, it might not be a lack of sleep or too much stress. It could be a parasite that's causing your chronic tiredness. More than 40 million Americans have parasites thriving inside of them. And you know what? Most of you don't even know it. You may be one of them. But I've got 4 easy ways to prevent a parasite and improve your body's ability to fight one off. And this might be the cure that might get you back where you want to be with your energy. Dr. Chuck, going to start off with the first most important thing that everyone's got to remember if they want to avoid getting parasites.
Wash your hands, and wash your fruits and vegetables too.
Easy to do, guys. So let's start with 4 simple solutions beyond that. There are many kinds of parasites. They can be hard to diagnose. They can hide in your gut. So I'm going to give you these things that you can start taking just in case you've got parasites, because they're pretty straightforward. 4 easy ways to ease the inflammation and prevent a parasite, even if you can't buy one. The first one is to avoid some of these acid reducers that we're often prescribing for ourselves or through our doctors.
So stomach acid is part of the body's natural defense barrier against infection and against parasites. So when you block the acid as effectively as these drugs do, you now create a nice hospitable environment for your parasite to grow.
Yeah. Something we do to ourselves that might make ourselves more prone to being invaded by parasites. Second way to improve your gut health is very easy. It helps prevent parasites. You wouldn't even know it. Eat 2 cloves of garlic every day. How does that work?
So garlic, not great
Oh,
for
they're
the...
moaning now. It's just 2 little cloves. Keeps folks away from you, too. It relaxes you.
Not great for the love life, but wonderful for the digestive tract. So garlic is a natural antimicrobial. It kills germs and it kills parasites. If you don't want to have it raw and you don't want to have it cooked in food, take 1,000 milligrams a day of a garlic supplement. Really helpful for the digestive tract, for reducing the growth of bacteria and parasites.
I just love the fact that there are certain foods that we can eat that probably protected our ancestors for decades.
Amazing.
The acid is there to protect us as
Yes.
well. Now, despite all that, sometimes we still will be infected by a parasite. And there are 2 solutions that can work really effectively if you think you may have parasites. And this is the third topic we're going to talk about. It's wormwood tea. You make it with filtered water.
Yes. So wormwood tea kills roundworms. It also paralyzes them in the gut so that they can't move or reproduce or eat. It also cuts down on the number of eggs being excreted in stool, so it decreases the spread of parasites. You can brew it. Here's loose leaf wormwood. You can brew it as a tea, as you said, in filtered water, or you can get it as an extract that you add to... I think I'll have some too.
It's got a... this could kill things.
Oof.
I mean, this could do some damage. All right.
So you can...
Now, this is the real powerful tool, though. It's the 4th item we're going to talk about. This has been proven in studies to remove parasites. It's papaya seeds with honey. Please explain how this magic happens.
So papaya seeds contain papain, which is a meat tenderizer, and it's a natural enzyme that breaks down membranes and proteins, so it kills the worms that way. And if you mix a 1/4 cup of papaya seeds with 1 tablespoon of honey, and you eat that daily for about 10 days or 2 weeks, incredibly helpful for getting rid of parasites. In one study, it cured parasites in 75% of children who were taking it.
I must say, if I was worn out and I thought I had parasites, I don't know, I wouldn't just do this.
Yeah, I think if you were to pick from any of these things, I think this is the one most important, most helpful. And it's all natural. Papaya and honey, you can't get more natural than that.
Thank you for your wonderful advice.
Thank you for having me.
All right, when we come back, another hidden health hazard you deal with every single day. It can be making you sick in ways you would never imagine.